Hello everyone, it's George from Ireland. So I'm going to sing, not sing, forgive me, I'm going to recite a fabulous poem on this time of year, now that we're in April. And I remember reading it for first when I was 19, when I was in the subcontinent, and it made me think of Ireland. I know it's about England, but England is virtually identical to Ireland. So the splendours of pre-summer. Anyway, I'll just read it and perhaps comment on it later on. Home Thoughts from Abroad by Robert Browning. Oh, to be in England now that April's there, and whoever wakes in England sees some morning unaware that the lowest boughs and brushwood sheaf round the elm tree bole are in tiny leaf, while the chaffinch sings on the orchard bough in England now. And after April, when May follows, and the white throat builds, and all the swallows hark where the blossomed pear tree in the hedge leans to the fields and scatters on the clover blossoms and dewdrops at the bent spray's edge. That's the wise thrush, he sings each song twice over, lest you think he should never recapture the first fine careless rapture. And though the fields look rough with hoary dew, all will be gay when noontide wakes anew. The buttercups, the little children's dower, far brighter than this gaudy melon flower. So that Robert Browning was very well appreciated 19th century poet, married to Elizabeth Barrett Browning, who was a poetess, and they spent a lot of time in Italy, Casa Guidi in Florence, which is owned by Eton these days. Etonians get to stay there. I never did. I didn't even think of trying to go on a trip there, but you can hire it out from time to time. Anyway, so if you, I think they were in Italy when he composed it, presumably. But when I was in the puzzling East, I read this one and maybe cast my mind back to the British Isles, because this is when you're properly in late spring. It's starting to get a little bit warm, but never forget what Thomas Stearns Eliot said. April is the cruelest month. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe it's the April showers. People think it's summer and it's not. So cricket starts in April, and I abominate cricket. But the so-called summer sport has people wearing woolly jumpers because the skies are glowering on you, and yes, sometimes it can piss on your parade. There's the London Marathon and so on, and I violently hate the London Marathon. Only good thing about coronavirus, London Marathon's cancelled. Not only is it too much to have the city shut down for the weekend, so I can't cycle, well, one day, but then there's this like smug self-righteousness, and will you sponsor me? No, what's that got to do with running? Just pay your own money, or I could donate anyway. All right, a curmudgeon I am. So April, things have really blossomed. Spring is definitely there. Remember going back to Ireland for the Easter holidays and come back after the vac and seeing the tree through a full canopy, and wow, how it had changed in just about 3 weeks. I know there are flowers, there's snowdrops from January and a few more. There are loads of daffodils. I remember in Scotland, I know that's not England, but it happens to be upon the same island, seeing tons of daffodils and running through them by the drive at school, deliberately killing them. Ha ha! But I do appreciate daffodils just a little bit. Whoever wakes in England sees some morning unaware that the lowest boughs in the brushwood sheaf, so the boughs can be the tree branches. So when it brushwood and sheaf is like a pile of them, like a wheat sheaf, or a sheaf of papers, for instance. Round the elm bole are in tiny leaf. Okay, so we're rising towards the height of summer, and I notice I'm sensing the fragrances of summer when I'm outside. These notes of the various plants in bloom, and I appreciate these simple joys these days. I value nature in a way that I didn't cherish it when I was an adolescent. While the chaffinch sings on the orchard bough. So apples. I know apples grow in many countries. Are they particularly English? I mean, the English are quite keen on their apples. They're drinking cider and whatnot. I mean, I don't think any other country drinks cider very much. The French drink cidre a little bit. And after April, May follows, and May is usually a glorious month. And the white throat builds and all the swallows These are birds, in case you didn't know. I'm no ornithologist, but I recognise the names of these species. Hark, old-fashioned meaning listen and obey. Hark where the blossomed pear tree and hedge leans and to the field and scatters on the clover. I don't know which countries pears grow in, certainly in Romania, but some of my viewers from far away may not be familiar with all these plants and birds and so on. Blossoms and dewdrops at the bent spray's edge, a dewdrop being a type of flower. There's also a pub in Oxford where Colin Dexter downs his ale. Colin Dexter is the author of those Inspector Morse murder mystery novels from the early 90s, turned into that series starring John Thaw in the late 90s. And the wise thrush, no, not that vaginal yeast infection, as in the bird. He sings each song twice over. Do they? I'm not sure. Lest you should think he never could recapture the first fine, careless rapture. Rapture meaning ecstasy. So without even trying, he canticles this enthralling and gleeful song, but he can do it again. There's also scat singing, because these sounds don't have a linguistic signification, presumably. I'm a bird brain I may be, but bird I am not, so I can't say for sure. And though the fields look rough at hoary dew, hoary meaning often just a bit too old, is the dew there still there? But if the dew lasts long after sun up, will be gay, not homosexualist, but cheerful. When the noontide wakes anew, so noontide is like noon, the middle of the day. The buttercup's the little children's dower. Now, dower, is that like some sort of present for them, like inheritance? I think so, a bit related to dowry, though that's slightly different. Far brighter than this gaudy melon flower, and gaudy is often is too much, is over the top in terms of brightness. Where does one find a melon flower? Perhaps it's in Italy, where I presume these two verses were composed. Right, so that's my penny's worth. Signing off now. Toodle pip.